your fighter.
Lakey Inspired. Fight.
Great morning. How's everybody doing? It's your girl, Pamela Yvette. Y'all, I'm up on this Saturday morning. My cousin and I are about to meet up. Let me take this out of the window because it's making me look like that yellowish reflecting through my glasses. But hey, I am here. I haven't really did a video. I uploaded one juicing video. I didn't get a chance to juice twice this week. I only juiced once this week, only because the my kids had some appointments. All kind of craziness happened. It's just been a week. But I wanted to come on and I wanted to do a video about what it means. I want to talk about my experience. I ain't gonna say what it means. My experience with having a daughter with diabetes. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't have a clue as to the seriousness of the disease. They don't really know. And before my daughter was diagnosed, I was uneducated. I knew that my grandmother had diabetes. I knew my mom was a type 2 diabetic. She took metformin as her medication. God rest her soul. And I knew my grandmother took insulin, right? We were trained how to do the little needles, get it out of the little valve thing that they would keep the insulin in the refrigerator. It was a very tiny little glass bottle that it came in with a silver top on it, and you just stick that needle in there, and the needle was so long in my little young mind. And we knew how to do the exact measurements because my grandmother was blind, God rest her soul. And because grandma was blind, she knew that, well, my aunts and uncles and my dad, everybody knew that if she was going to be home by herself, because my grandfather worked, granddaddy worked back in the days, and this before he stopped working. Yeah, we were trained to do that. Fast forward into now, that was back in the 90s, early 90s, and I think I was a teenager when we probably started first helping grandma out with her insulin, right? So fast forward to technology has changed, medication has changed, the dosages have changed, the educational part has changed. I'm gonna share with y'all the signs, and this was the kicker and the deal breaker for me when my daughter was diagnosed in January. It was on a Sunday. She woke up that Sunday morning. She seemed delirious as all get out. Not cognitively, she wasn't there. So my son had noticed, he had said the day before that he thought that, that she said that she didn't feel well, which I know that she was just being thirsty. Like, we went to Sam's Club that Saturday, and she ate some of her food, and then she just was like, oh, I don't want any more of this food or whatever. I don't know what we had, pizza or something, but she ate the food and she laid down. And I was thinking it was, it was the monthly and all that stuff, and I was feeling like, okay, she don't feel good because of the monthly, right? No, she went in the restroom and she did vomit. I remember that. And then fast forward to Sunday morning, that's when everything took a turn for the worse. So I normally get up really, really early, but this was the Sunday I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to get up and cook, because a lot of times I get up and cook breakfast early in the morning. My kids are laying in the bed until like 12, 1, 2, and they just, breakfast are wasted. Food is wasted. So I'm like, I ain't gonna even worry about cooking. I'm gonna sleep in. Slept in. I came downstairs probably like maybe 10. Not though I slept that long, but I went downstairs late. I just intentionally laid in the bed and watched TV. And as a mother, you have children, you always on the go. You want to take a little moment for yourself, and that Sunday was my moment. But you know what, y'all? God is good to me, because my baby, when I got downstairs, I automatically noticed that she didn't have the TV on. She wasn't playing on her phone. She was downstairs just looking, kind of had this look on her face. I can't even describe it. So I asked her, I said, hey, how long you been down here? First question I asked her, she said, oh, I don't know. When she said, oh, I don't know, I was like, okay, now she ain't being funny. She's not being sarcastic, because anytime if she's doing a little inside joke, she would have do a little hee-hee, ha-ha laughing behind it. There was no laughing. She had a serious look on her face like, I don't know. When she threw her hand, I don't know. So I noticed she was breathing. She just breathing, like blowing out her mouth. So automatically that kind of got my heart racing, and I'm just like too excited. But I had to calm myself down, because as a mother, you be on go when it comes to your kids. You want to make sure that they're okay, and you can react really quickly. And I know I can get hyped up. So what I did was I stood there for a few minutes, and I asked her, I said, are you having shortness of breath? You can't breathe? I'm just trying to get understanding of what was going on. She couldn't really relate to me. She couldn't articulate what was happening. So that was the first sign. I said, let me go ahead and put my shoes on, whatever the case may be, whatever. All right. Take her to the emergency room, and fast forward to where, you know, she had to be admitted. At first, they were trying to figure out what is going on. This girl is here. She's showing signs of this, that, and that. I don't know. You know, they had tested certain things, but it's like they felt like we can't even really get blood out of her because she seems to be dehydrated. And I said, well, she drinks a lot of water. Y'all, that's when I first found out about ketoacidosis state. And that's when her body was in that state. And that's when the doctor explained to me, and the nurse says, that's when their blood is kind of like acidity, it's like acid. And basically her body was wired to, it was trying to, that was her body's defense mechanism to try to get all of the ketones that was spewing off into her blood levels out. So it's not that she was short of breath, because when they checked her lungs were clear. But it's just the fact that she was blowing. And so that was the thing that scared me, because at any moment I thought my baby was going to stop breathing. I thought she was going to kick out on her oxygen. So when they put the things on her finger, and is it the poxometry, I can't even think of the name, y'all, because I'm not clinical. But they put this little thing on her finger, and they say, listen, ma'am, she has 100% air. It's not like she's not able to breathe. She can definitely breathe. She has oxygen. Her lungs are clear. So that's what made them to believe, hey, this may be going on. This may be going on. So they fast forward to when they diagnosed her. They said she was a diabetic. And at that time, I think her blood sugar was like it was like at 500 and something. And it was scary. I'm not going to tell a lie and say that it wasn't, because I knew that back in the day as a child, my grandmother's blood sugar got too high, or if it got too low, it was a big deal. So with that, I kept my cool. I stayed the course. All right. After we went through the hospital, they put her in ICU. Y'all know that. I did a video on that. So, you know, go watch that if you haven't done so. So anyway, after we stayed in the hospital, she got discharged, and immediately they told us, the doctor, the nurse, everybody told me straight up, once you all get discharged, we give you your papers. Please go over to the Alls Children's Hospital, because we have a hospital in St. Petersburg that's not far from Tampa. It's called Alls Children. So we had to go to Alls Children's Hospital after being in the hospital, y'all. And y'all got to know, I was uncomfortable, because again, I was at the stage where I wasn't, you know, able to really keep up with my dang on taking a bath, my hygiene. Well, I did the best I could. I was in there wiping down, and, you know, had to go back to the old school days where you got to wipe your, you know, you got to do what you got to do to clean this area, this crevice. Just, you know, I keep spraying all that stuff in my purse. Thank God I had that in my purse, because I had nothing. So we went straight forward to St. Pete, to Alls Children's Hospital. We went to education. We had to go to endocrinology. When my mom was a diabetic, and my grandma, to my knowledge, my mom's PCP treated her diabetes. With young people, what I've learned is with my daughter, she sees an endocrinologist. And that's a specialist who specializes in diabetes. And because, and where I'm from, you got to know, I'm from a smaller city. Things are not as as readily available back home as it is here. That's why I thank God for being able to be in a bigger city for that reason, that when my baby got sick, the resources are there. Things that I didn't even know existed was there, right? And I'm waiting on my cousin, y'all, because me and my cousin, I told y'all we about to get ready to eat. I'm taking her to brunch, because it's morning. So we're going to have this lunch for her birthday. So I came early so I can meet her out. So I just want to, plus I want to come and fill this card out, because I had got her a gift, but I didn't write in the card that I got her. So yeah, I'm waiting on my baby girl. So anyway, my cousin, it's my baby. So anyway, so we did the education program. We did that for 4 hours. After we finished with the 4 hours, the education, they taught us about the nutrition. You know, they gave us a lunch. It was like a, it was like a lunch and learn. Yeah, I was so tired, but I had to keep pushing. It was like I read it was like an hour drive from where we were at to St. Pete. No problem. What I'm saying, and the message that I'm trying to relate to y'all, if you guys haven't picked it up yet, when you're a mother of a diabetic child, or you're responsible for someone with diabetes, you take on a whole new responsibility. It became clear to me that there was always going to be a divide in my grocery list now. Things that, because I couldn't just force my son to eat things that were sugar-free all the time. You know, even though it's a healthier alternative, it's always a healthier choice. But I didn't want to automatically force him to just abruptly just change the way he ate and the things that I was, you know, whether I may have bought a jug of Hawaiian Punch or just regular juice. I wasn't really thinking about it to that extent. Education was a big part. They educated me on the insulin, the medication that she would be taking, the actual dosages that she would be taking. They educated me on the food choices, what will be considered a carb, because with diabetes, you are correcting your carbs. Old school diabetes, with my grandma had it, and I think that's why a lot of people are uneducated, because diabetes is not always as bad as we think it. Back then, it used to be so bad. I've seen my grandma pass out at church. You know, I've seen one of my cousins have a seizure, and she just started, like, when I was young, she just had a seizure, and she started biting the blood out of her tongue because her sugar had got so high. And those memories as a child being at church, you know, I see the ushers around her, but all I could see was blood going down the sides of her mouth, because we thought she was like getting happy. You know, back in the church, you know, back in the days in African-American churches, we call it getting happy, or you got the spirit. So I thought maybe she was shouting or whatever, and that wasn't the case. She really needed medical attention. She was having a seizure. And we knew that my cousin, God rest her soul now, she was a diabetic real bad. What I'm saying is, diabetes is not always just an end of all. I learned about the carbs. My daughter, and hear me good, with diabetes, your child, you yourself, if you have it, or, you know, from what I've been shown, my daughter can eat anything that she wants, as long as she corrects her bad eating with the right amount of insulin. Diabetes is the one organ in our body that is all off haywire and everything. It's your pancreas. It's like, basically, like they're saying, her pancreas just stopped. And that's the thing that's so, it's kind of hard for me, y'all. Oh, I don't want to get emotional, but for my baby to be 15 years old, I say, wow, she's just turned 15. She was diagnosed when she was 14. And as a parent, it makes you feel like, what did I do wrong? What could I have given her to make her pancreas stop working? And it would, you know, or her pancreas to stop producing insulin. You know, you go through that stage where you're blaming yourself. But back to the education. I learned how to help her to correct her carbs. If her sugar is below 70, we were taught to, hey, at that point, it would be good to introduce a sweet sugar. or a piece of candy, you know what I'm saying, some regular orange juice, something that is not sugar free, because at this point, if it's below 70, what we've been educated, if it's below 70, you drink some juice, regular fruit juice, regular juice. If you want a real soda, drink it. And that is the reason why I keep these things on hand and readily available for my baby. Right after we left there, I think I went home and I got some sleep or whatever, got rest, because we were just getting discharged from the hospital and I was on days of no sleep. So I finally, when I did wake up, I went in the next day and I went and got went to Sam's Club. Went and took care, buying grocery. I bought things that I was told. You know, we left there with a notebook, a binder. I mean, my daughter, we've been educated. We have a nurse. Her name is Stacy. When I tell you, y'all, Stacy is the best. The support system that we have, the tools and the resources that we have, it is amazing. But as a young person, this last visit to the hospital, you know, I realized that my daughter, she was not taking it serious. And what I mean by that, God knows I love my baby, but she started to tell me, hey mom, you know, I missed a dose here or there. Or either when I would ask her and I would say, hey, did you take your medicine? Oh yeah, I took it. Oh, I just checked my sugar. Oh, okay, you know. And I was like, well, let me see the meter, because once you prick your finger, you put the blood on the little test strip and you stick it into the machine. You know, it stays there for a few, and then, you know, it kind of, once she pulls a little strip out, it kind of clears it out, and it'll congratulate you on her meter that she has. It'll say, hey, good job. You know, it'll say something. Okay, so what my thing is that the last visit, it just got out of hand. She wasn't really taking it serious, and then kind of not being honest with me, and we've gotten past that. But as a mother of a diabetic child, you go through some stuff, y'all. You go through it, and I tell people, it's more heartbreaking. It's very hurtful to have a front row seat at your child being, you know, depressed, stressed out, unhappy. And I have to be my best self always. I have to be a superhero for her, and I have to go the extra mile, because mentally I want to make sure she's okay. I have to be that cheerleader, y'all, and it is a lot. So my message is that to let you guys know that it's hard, it's tough, but you can do it. School just started. I kept my baby from school the other day because that dang on sugar would not get above, it wouldn't get above 70. She was at 64 and it went crazy. I didn't get that. Oh, it was at 64. And right then and there, I could tell mentally, cognitively, this is the telltale sign. When they're acting like, we're not saying they're acting, but when they're starting to show signs that I'm not understanding what you're saying, mom, I'm not comprehending. She just was in forgetful mode. This was on this past Wednesday. I said, did you get your lunch? Oh my God. It's like she couldn't remember her lunch. I said, did you get your, did you grab your water bottles? She didn't do her water. I said, did you check your blood sugar? She checked it. When I think she checked it, yeah, and she noticed mom is low. Right then and there, I went and got her juice. Okay? I asked her, she said, where's my phone? She just seemed so off Wednesday. And then she went outside to catch the bus, and it's like the spirit was saying, don't really let her go. That's why I didn't push the issue. When my son left out the house to go catch the bus, my daughter, I knew she had already missed the bus, but I was like, I'm kind of glad. I could have taken her to school, but I didn't take her because I wanted to watch her. Thank God I did, because little did I know her sugar was going to drop to 48. When you have a child that's a diabetic, another thing, you have to be careful with the highs, but them damn lows, them some sneaky little bastards. We were told in the hospital, the lows is more dangerous. Hear me good. When your blood sugar has dropped below a certain level, when you're low, you're in more of a state of going into a coma. And you're quicker to be on your way out versus that. you know, but versus the high, you know, versus staying here. So when we were told that, I remembered it. But when her sugar was at, I think 48, I said, oh no, I'm glad you didn't go to school. It was a lot. I was working. I had to keep every so often. Hey, it's like right then and there, that means that their body needs more food. If your child's blood sugar is low, they didn't feed their body enough food. Even though she ate breakfast, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to feed her, to fuel her. And it kept dropping her sugar. And like I told my baby, you have to bulk up, whether you want to eat or not. This is another thing, hear me good. When your child has diabetes, you have to make sure that they are eating a balanced breakfast. My daughter, 15 years old, y'all, she's a rebellious teen sometimes, and sometimes she don't want to go through all this, and I think it makes her get overly excited because she gets emotional. She don't want me to keep saying, hey, did you do this, did you do that? Because it's like I'm a helicopter mom, and I don't want to be, but I have to make sure that she's doing the right thing, y'all, because I don't want her to go back into the hospital. I want my child to be here and live out all the days that God have for her. I don't want her to just be here. I want her to be here and healthy and thriving and just doing her best, you know, feeling good. So you have to make sure that they eat. My daughter has a habit of she'll grab some yogurt. Yogurt ain't gonna do it, baby. Boil you some eggs, some protein. That's why I get up in the morning, because I like to oversee things. I like to oversee it. And she say what she wants. She love to say, Mama, oh my God, sometimes you do the most. Yes, I do. But if I don't do the most, when I notice that when I allow my baby to attempt to be independent, she ended up in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Because she would drop the ball on herself. Teenagers would drop the ball because they get tired of this, y'all. It's like she went from having the time of her life for a good 13 years, and then now, well, a good 14 years, because she was almost 15, and then all of a sudden, boom, stop it, cold turkey, you got to do this. It's hard for a person. It's hard for an adult. So I couldn't imagine for my baby, you know, frontal lobes, ain't all, that maturity level ain't there. And sometimes we start over, y'all. Sometimes she's good with it. Sometimes she's not. Sometimes she's okay and she accepts that this is my life. Sometimes she doesn't. Behind the scenes, it is a lot. You know, I wear a lot of hats, and I thank God for giving me the strength to be able to keep pushing. But you guys, if you have a child that's a diabetic, you got to be their number one support system. You got to be their cheerleader, whether you want to be it or not. Even when my daughter is in the stage of being rebellious, and sometimes I'm the type of mama, I got a big behind mouth. I'll be like, hey, what you doing? Come on, what? You know, I get excited. And I have to go in and I have to apologize to her, because I tell her this, baby girl, you wasn't on the side of that bed looking. I had a front row seat to see these people, especially this last go around. My baby had 2 IVs in this arm, 2 IVs in here. They were running 4 pumps through her body. It's a helpless feeling when you can't do nothing but just sit there. It's like somebody really doing something to your child, somebody really having their way with your kid, and you can't do nothing about it. I'm not that type of mom. I'm very much involved. I love my kids. You know, you ain't gonna mess with my children. Not if I can help it. That's just how my mom raised me. My mom's the same way. And it makes you feel helpless when you see that she's not being picked on. She's not being mistreated. But it's just the fact that she had to be very uncomfortable during that process to get to the finish line of where we were able to be discharged. So fast forward to, you know, after we had the education, there's always a nurse that's going to be available. Like I said, we have the doctors. If I can't get in touch with the doctors, I have her nurse, who is an educator. She's like the lead educator, Stacy. And if there's anything that I need, because this week it's been a little challenge with me, with my my job, my insurance, well, my pharmacy benefits. It's kind of like they're saying, hey, well, you haven't met your deductible, and you know, she got a new what did they just they just prescribed my baby something, this Dexcom reader. And I'm still going back and forth fighting with my insurance to see if I can get it approved, because they were like, oh, you haven't met your deductible and we got to get authorization and all this little stuff with it. But which I think in a couple more weeks I'll have met my deductible, and my cost will be a lot cheaper, because the Dexcom and that Dexcom transmitter, it is something that she connects into her, like a part of her body, like her arm. She can put it in her stomach or somewhere she can hide it. If she wants to disclose it, she can put it somewhere on her body. And what it does is it reads her blood sugar for her, and it stops her from having to prick her finger. It cuts that step out. And because it's high technology, y'all know it costs a little bit more. So I got to work through those channels. You know, you have to have a good insurance. And sometimes you don't know your insurance is not all that good until you gotta use it. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I have bad insurance, but I've learned that with my insurance, I have a mail order type prescription shindig that I go through, and I gotta wait for so much approval. Plus I have to wait because I just got a cooler and it's so cute. They did ship her insulin, and insulin has to be refrigerated. It has to be cold. So we in Florida, y'all, and if she takes her bag with her, you know, it have to be cold. But that's another thing I want to talk about. But anyway, the prescription, you have to have a pharmacy, because I've paid out of pocket, y'all. I'm not gonna tell y'all how much money that I have put on my credit card. I'm talking about, I have pretty much maxed one of my credit cards out, because right when she was diagnosed, I was just starting my job. And I hadn't met any insurance deductible. I hadn't paid like one dime or anything. It's just that, well, I hadn't even started my job yet. Yeah, I hadn't even started my job, and I had my other insurance. That's what it was. I wasn't on this new insurance. So I went through this little tricky phase where my other insurance was like, hey, well, you hadn't met all your deductible, because I don't really, thank God, knock on wood, I don't have to go to the doctor like that. My kids go once a year and do their little checkup to get their eyes checked. Dentist. Other than that, I'm not using it, so I'm just paying for it. So anyway, long story short, that was one issue, dealing with the insurance. You just have to be patient with yourself. You know, you have to know that the diabetic medication, the insulin, is very expensive. The test strips, everything associated with this is very expensive. Now, at my previous hospital, when I was back home, they had a program with the diabetes as one of the perks. If you had a diagnosis with if you were diagnosed with diabetes, you didn't have to worry about your supplies, your medication, because that was all covered at 100%. But every company doesn't look at it and kind of value how or what they're gonna decide to pay for. Okay, I don't want to get too caught up in there. But anyway, I want to fast forward to wait a minute, what was I about to say? The insulin. If you have a child with diabetes, and I may do this on another video, because I have a cooler that's in the trunk of my car. What I tell y'all, you got to be prepared. As a mom of a diabetic, you got to be a superhero, honey. Y'all don't see this S on my chest? Superhero. But yeah, you have to be readily prepared, because my daughter has a habit. She brings her bag out, and then we'll go like into the grocery stores, or we'll go in the mall, or whatever the case may be, and she'll leave it out in the car. Like I told her, that medication is so expensive. That's another thing. Young people don't understand. It's expensive. They didn't pay for it. It ain't their money. They ain't worried about it. Just like when they turn the lights on in the house and leave the light on all day, you like, wait a minute, why you got the light on? Oh, it don't really bother them like that, because guess what? It ain't hitting their pockets no type of way, but it's hitting my pocket. You see? So I keep a cooler in the trunk of my car, and when we're about to go out somewhere, what I've done now is, because I notice, and you have to figure your child out. You got to know your kid, because every kid ain't the same. But my baby, sometimes she'll leave it, put it underneath the seat as if it's not in the car that's hot, okay? You're taking something from a cool house. It's supposed to stay cool at all times. I don't want that medication to be offset. I don't want it to be you giving yourself medication and it's not doing anything, because we've ruined it, you know, by leaving it in this hot behind car, okay? So you have to stay on top of them. You have to be their eyes and their ears. And what I've learned, y'all, is to be a lot more patient, to be a lot more understanding with my daughter, because, you know, depression is real, sadness is real, You know, she went through some stages in the beginning where she was, I feel like my baby was depressed, and she felt like this was a punishment. And so I had to, as a mother, hey, I got to step it up. I got to make sure my girl don't feel like that. What you mean? You feeling like you depressed, or you feel like, you know, that why it had to be you, you know? We get those questions, but it's just all about having a great support system, okay? So once you find out that your child is a diabetic, first of all, you change up the you know, their eating habit. Even though my baby still in the beginning was sneaking at the school, honey, because I couldn't be with her 24/7. She's sneaking at the school, honey. They had them snack machine, the vending machine, stuff that she wasn't supposed to eat. Girl, she had a quarter, nickel, dime. She was busting it down. Ooh, doo, doo, doo. Getting the chips, getting the snack, getting all this stuff. You know, I could only do so much at the house. And I didn't want to just put her in a cage, because right when she was diagnosed, I didn't want to send her back to school. But it was a blessing, because down in Tampa, or in Florida, we have a plan that's called the 504 plan. And once she went back to school, this is another thing you guys need to know. You make sure that you work with your child's school. I went Nurse Thompson. God, oh, I love that lady from day one. Never met the lady before. I knew they had nurses at the school. I never had to go see them. We went in. My nurse, my educator, Stacy, y'all know my nurse at the endocrinology. She had already faxed over all the paperwork. She pretty much had done everything. All I had to do was just take this packet there, because I had to fill this packet out and pretty much, you know, keep it readily available at the school. And they had all her medical records. They had everything over. So Nurse Thompson, she had said, hey, my baby has a little clear tote, little bitty little, like a little, maybe a clear little tote thingy, like rectangle shape, with a lid on it, where she can we have her snacks in it. She keeps her snacks readily available at school. Like if anything happens, she can go to Nurse Thompson. She can go to the office and she could go and get her snacks. If she leave her lunch at home, she can go get her get something from out of her box. If she leaves her medication at home by accident, she has medicine at school. That's another thing. You have to have a set of medication at the school and at your home. And you have to make sure you have enough supplies. Okay? Enough supplies. And I can't say that enough. You make sure you have enough supplies. And then after that, you you just pretty much, if my daughter has a pass, and matter of fact, we got to get it laminated, because they just gave it to her like last week or the week before, because they know she's not a new diabetic. She's considered, this is like her second school year. Even though she hadn't been diagnosed for a whole year, this is her second school year with the, you know, with her diagnosis. So anyway, I wonder if it's my cousin, because a lot of people are coming in this parking lot, y'all. It's getting filled up, but I told my cousin I was gonna come here early. But I ain't gonna talk y'all too long. I just want to come on. Look at her. Look at how cute. How dressed up. I wonder if I parked incorrectly, because I feel like I'm parked wrong. Let me see something. Let me back up a little bit, because I got my air running. But anyway, so for them, because I noticed they seemed like they were struggling to get out the car. I don't want to make people feel like I'm all in their space, you know. Who is hot? Okay, so anyway, so like I said, you want to make sure that you have enough medication at the school and at home. We have it in Florida. It's called the 504 plan. It's a 504 plan, and you know, it just rules and it governs, and there's laws that protects your child, basically. Whereas the teachers, and my daughter had bad experiences, and I had a conference, well, not a conference, but I had a conversation via email, and then I ended up having to speak to a teacher, because she had a problem. This is before we knew my daughter had diabetes. See, teachers, everybody that's out there teaching y'all, they ain't really for these kids. But my daughter would have to go to the restroom. And I always tell my children, if you got to go to the bathroom and you really got to go, it ain't like you trying to go out there and be talking to your friends. But if you got to go to the restroom, you get it. If you ask that teacher and she says no, before you sit there and pee on yourself, you better walk out that classroom. And I mean that. What's the purpose if you got to go? Because Pam ain't going to hold her urine for nobody. Not if I can help it now. And I teach my kids to do the same thing. So what it was, you know, the teacher, she was just having a problem. Oh my, well, what's going on with her? We didn't know she was a diabetic, but she was kind of going and talking to other teachers and asking them, oh, does she have to go in your classroom? Does she have to use the restroom? Does she have to? Just trying to be a detective. And then she called me and I said, ma'am, what's the problem? If she has to go to the restroom, I've advised her that she needs to go to the restroom. Go. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll suffer whatever little consequences it may be. But you can't tell me that she's going to hold and have an accident in your class. That was the first telltale sign, because my baby had to urinate a lot. And it got to the point to where her one teacher was being a butthole, not wanting to let her go. And my daughter walked out of her class one day, and she called me to tell on my daughter. But I told her straight up, she'd been instructed to do that. And I asked her, would you hold your urine? Would you? Because you know that causes urinary tract infection, all kind of craziness. I said, so are you telling me when you have to urinate, you just sit there and you hold it? You know? So we got past that. She and I, we were cool. And then we fast forwarded. And then we found out that she was a diabetic. And then, the teacher felt bad. She did call me back and say, well, oh, I had no idea. I said, neither did we. That's the reason why you cannot. Don't just think that a person is trying to, or if she came to your classroom late, you're just riding her, because she's a good student. My daughter's very quiet. She doesn't talk a lot. She sits and she observes people, y'all. My baby's a people watcher. She was like my mama. So I can't help that she just sit there and just not interacting with you. She ain't like me, okay? To a certain extent. She is like me, but not talkative like I am. So, yeah, diabetes is... It's not a death sentence. You got to look at it in a positive way. And I do take my time out to educate myself. Like I've mentioned on other videos, I do cut out certain things. Like, I don't even really drink soda like that, but I have me some sugar-free. I have a sugar-free drink. Like when we was at Family Dollars on one of my videos, when we find something that's sugar-free that I know she like, I turn up for my baby, because I'm her number one cheerleader. Hey, we celebrate. Because if I ain't in the cheering in the stands or whatever, who else gonna cheer on? So now I'm trying to encourage her to run track. My daughter can run her behind off. She good. But when she got diagnosed, all her dreams of what she wanted to do in high school, it kind of went out the window. So right now, I'm trying my best to talk my baby back into doing certain things that she loves to do. Because she's a baby girl of two older brothers, and she's a little tomboy. So she loves doing, the little flag football. She loved doing those things, because her brothers have roughed her up her entire life. So that's the hand you get with my baby, okay? So I don't want to talk to you guys much longer, but I just wanted to just share with you all that if you do have a child with diabetes, if you're just finding out, it is okay. You always have support, resources. I don't know where you all may live at. I don't even know what time you guys may be watching this, or if you've already been going through certain things. I hope I've said something that will, inspire you to keep pushing. It is a journey, but you got to be willing to go on that journey with your child. And that's all it is. So you guys take care. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day. All right.